I welcome you to this edition of our monthly webinar. We have gone all over the world to look for an expert who will be taking us on this. And I'm happy to introduce a prolific communication expert in person of Dr. Godfrey Onagwa, working with the National Agricultural Extension and Research Licensing Services in NARNS. Also the Communication and Information Knowledge Management Officer for the Nigerian Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services. You have the floor.
My name is Godfrey Onagwa, and I've been fairly introduced. The title before us is Writing Impactful Introductions to Capture and Maintain the Reader's Attention. If you know me, I usually start with the words of wisdom, called the words of the elders, or the words in marble. I have a few quotations here, just about 3 of them. One is by Herbert Esten, a famous researcher that we all know, who said that if you cannot explain it simply, then you do not understand it fully or enough. Which tells you that what you present, you are liable to whatever you present. Whatever you present, you should be held accountable. Whether you are able to hold people's attention or not, you are responsible. The next one is by Richard Dawkins, another serious researcher in the social sciences, who said the most important thing a scientist can do is not to bore the audience. One thing you will agree with me over the years, that the internet age has done to us is that it has taken our time. None of us has enough time again. And so once anything is beginning to look as boring, we immediately change the channel. You switch off. And then the third one is by Will Rogers. Rogers is not a researcher. Rogers was an American commentator who died in 1935. He said, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Your first impressions matters. Is the entry point. It is the entry point to your research, the space where you either capture or lose the reader. And you agree, once you lose the reader, you may not have the second chance. Yes, why is introduction a serious issue? Why introductions matter? Why do they matter? Is that they are the first handshake of your research. The first thing you stretch out to people. When no matter what you have as your content, the first thing they want to see is that impression and your introduction. The functions of introduction, I gave about 4 here. The first one is that it captures the interest. It captures interest using compelling language, posing thought-provoking questions, or presenting what we call captivating facts. But even in the captivating fact, we have to look at it. You don't bore people with facts. You can actually bore people with so many facts. Number 2 is that it establishes what we call relevance. The topicality of your title. Why should I even pay attention to it? Is it current? Does it have any bearing with what is on ground today? Not historical. Now, even if you bring it as an historical research, does it have any relevance to what happens today? Number 3 is that it must establish the context of your research. It must situate your work within a broader field of study. And then number 4, it must give us the gap. It must provide the gap, the research gap, articulated in a clear form. Maybe the thesis statement or the hypothesis. Okay. So usually for writing or for anything, we say for a research, there is what we call the 3 C's as the anatomy of introduction. The 3 C's. Number 1, it must present a context. 2, there must be a challenge. Okay, you must identify the gap. And then the contribution. What do you intend to do with that gap? What is your contribution to this challenge? How is your work going to contribute to solving that challenge? Okay, these are the 3 C's. The context, the challenge, the contribution. Now, I will be giving us examples in 3 fields: humanities, Humanities, arts, and social sciences, and then physical sciences. I put all of them together, and then agriculture. So we have it 3 fields: humanities, physical sciences, and agriculture. For example, you're having a research within the context of post-colonial studies in the arts, post-colonial studies, and you discover that the problem there is that almost all this research there are Eurocentric. That is relating to the foreigners, the Oyibos, the Americans. Those are the narratives whenever you are talking about post-colonial studies. But then I say, for my work, I'm bringing in as a contribution a new perspective, which we call the Africa tradition, oral tradition, as analytical tool. Okay, so it must be clear at the introduction, so that the scientist who picks up your work will say, oh, I think this is something new. Oh, this work seems to be interesting. If it is in the physical sciences, you decide to have a research, and you must establish your context. For example, renewable energy storage. Renewable energy storage. And then, so what is the challenge in renewable energy storage? That is the gap. Current batteries, you take batteries degrade very quickly. So you will agree with me, when you buy your rechargeable torchlight, the first time you recharge it, maybe 4 or 5 hours, it will just be glowing. 5 hours, 6 hours. 3 months down the line, now you plug it, it is full, and then you turn it on, less than 1 hour, it's begin to dim and begin to look at you as if, what are you doing about me? So what is the solution? What is your work? How is your work intervening in this challenge? I say, oh, my work's contribution will be looking at new nanomaterial solution to improve lifespan, okay, of battery. And then in agriculture, it could be climate change, how it affects it. And so what is the challenge? You discover that even though you have drought resistance varieties, they are performing poorly on soils. And so what will be your contribution? You want to see how you can develop a biofertilizer integration trial and see how this can be an intervention for improving yield. So, and all this must be available in your introduction, your introductory work. So let's look at case studies. Let's be a little practical. Like I said, humanities. Okay, let's take humanities. Let's take Shakespeare's and politics as a research context, and let's see what happened. The weak introduction, let's take just introductory paragraph. A weak introductory paragraph will say, Shakespeare's plays are widely studied across the world. Of course, which is true. It is not a lie, but it's a still statement. Many critics have analyzed his work from different perspectives, which is correct, but it's a still statement. It's not really saying anything new. Then you now say, this study will also look at Shakespeare. So it's as if it's bandwagon. It's just joining what you just told us. But look at a stronger statement. Despite centuries of scholarship on Shakespeare's histories, one overlooked dimension remains the subtle way in which his plays mirror the political anxieties of Elizabethan England. It's an era. Elizabethan England is an era. Oh, if I am interested in it, I say, oh, this is good. Now I'm hearing new things. Now, this study examines how censorship, I am boiling down to censorship and court politics, shaped the performance of Richard II. Is a play. Richard II is a play. If you read William Shakespeare's story, you know Richard II is a play, offering new insight into the theater power nexus. So it's already captured. It has captured my heart. If I am in the humanities, I want to see how this work explore this nexus. And then we look at the physical sciences. Remember, we talk about batteries. Okay, with renewable energies. The weak statement, for example, can be batteries are important for many devices. Agreed, but it's a statement. It's still statement. It's not really saying anything new. Number two, They are used in phone, cars, and other machines. Okay, let's look at the strongest statement within the introduction. Global energy transition depends not just on generating renewable power, but on storing it reliably. Correct. But it's almost looking stale. Yet, most lithium-ion batteries degrade after only 1,000 cycles. That is, you charge and dissipate, you charge and dissipate, limiting their large-scale use. This project investigates a graphene-based nanomaterial designed to extend battery life and addressing a critical bottleneck in sustainable energy. I say, oh, this looks promising. And then you captured my attention. And finally, let's look at the next example, the next case study in agriculture. So we're looking at post-harvest loss in Nigeria. That's as a field, a wider field. Agriculture is very important to Nigeria's economy. Agreed, everybody know that. Many people are farmers, and they face many problems. True, but it's a still statement. This study examines post-harvest practices and their impact on farmers' productivity and profits. Good, but it's expected. Now let's look at a stronger statement that captures and is expected to pull people to pay attention to you. Each year, Nigeria loses up to 40% of its harvested maize before it reaches the market. Now, you see the statistics and you see that it's bringing in something new. Okay, we know they lose maize, but 40%, oh, this is good. Now, this 40% is enough grains to feed 20 million people. That's another insight. Existing solutions focus mainly on improved storage structures, but little is known about how farmer training and market access. Completely a digression from the norm. How these two interact with storage practices. This research tests an integrated approach, combining amniotic storage with farmer education in Kaduna State, fully contextualized. You can see that it's fully contextualized. Okay. Now, why do we have to do all this? It's because there are perspectives to read to the reader's postures. There are different perspectives by different readers. Between age 1 and age 3, we are told that the children, those babies' attention span is very small. So that within 1 minute, if you don't gain their attention, you lose. Now, we're speaking about research. You know, it's because we are in the research world generally. If you go to the publishing world, it's a bit, you understand what we're saying about introduction. If you need your book or your work to be published by any serious publisher, all it wants from you is just the introduction. It does not want the whole book. It wants you to send the introductory chapter. With the introductory chapter, it's able to assess the entire work. See, there are perspectives, and I was telling you that there is what we call attention span. For children, some of them, if you are not able to gain a child's attention within 1 minute, you lose a child. If you are one of those who go to church or go to a lecture and you see the preacher starts preaching, just watch 5 minutes into the message. Once people are not sleeping, they are not going to sleep. But you see those in 5 minutes, between 5 minutes and 7 minutes, once you see 1, 2, 3 people sleeping in the church, if you are the preacher, you already know you are boring them. Or the message is not interesting to them. So people care these days. Why should I even care about reading this? Why should I worry? Remember what we said in the beginning by Einstein. You are responsible for the content you produce. You are supposed to make it easy for the reader. So there's something we call cognitive overload or load. When you see students these days, they just try to fill a page. Or you say, go write a research, and all they do, they just look, cut and paste to get volume. And then they dump it. And they expect me, the reader, to make sense out of it. No, I won't. I won't. I need a work. I want to quickly make a reference. I go online, I search your work, I bring it out, I read the entire introduction. I still don't understand where you're going to. I don't have time. I will not have time to read your work before I get to your point. In fact, your abstract should be able to tell me the story. But this is the problem we're having today. And because we do not have time, please mark it. This is my third webinar this week. Today is Friday. That I'm attending a webinar, not presenting, but attending a webinar. The third. It was not like this before COVID-19. So we don't have time. Nobody has time to go through the whole work before he gets the understanding. So if you are not able to convince people in your first, second, third paragraph of your introduction, fourth paragraph, then up to, and then the people will leave. Nobody has time to deal with to make sense out of the nonsense anybody writes. So please, the readers are asking, why should they invest their time on this? So what is the strategy? Just like the question that was asked on the WhatsApp platform, which I started with, what is the strategy? Of course, it's to use what we call hooks. To hook people. There's something you use to magnet people. And sometimes we overuse them. Someone say, you have to come with statistics. No, statistics, when they become too many, become an issue. For the humanities, for example, we are always interested in when people pose what we call a paradox. A paradox. For example, you say history is written by the victors. But what if the vanquished had their own archives? In African tradition, we say, oh, anytime we hear the story of the success of a hunter, is because the hunter told the story. What? Just imagine if it is the lion that told us the story, or the antelope. And the antelope will tell you how many years this hunter was disgraced in the bush before finally he was able to catch the smallest of the antelope and carried it on the shoulder and came to the town. People will not call that man a great man, but a loser. So when you pose a paradox in humanity that makes people to sit back and think, then you are catching their attention. In the physical sciences, of course, we are expecting to see that you start with something that is a surprising fact. A surprising fact. Like one smartphone battery contains more lithium than a 1,000 liter of seawater. Okay, I said, what does that mean? And so someone want to read. In agriculture, you also start with what we call scale. Nigeria loses enough post-harvest maize each year that can feed 20 million people. It's a poser. So here we have anecdotes like I have in the humanity. You have striking statistics like in physical sciences, and then you have what we call resolved debates. 20 million. That would be too much. Are you sure? Okay, let's see how this man arrived at 20 million. That is unresolved debate, and you keep looking. So these are hooks that when you throw early, it captures the attention of readers. How do we structure literature gap or the gap? Because we just look at the hooks. Now let's look at the gap in your introduction. You must present a gap. Okay, there are mainly three types. One is use a funnel approach, two use contrastive approach, and three use a niche approach, or what we call niche in Greeks. So I just say we should get this over, but I know we know that a gap in literature does not mean that you are finding a complaint, but that it's an opportunity for you to launch. So when we say the funnel approach, what do we mean? I know many of us know this. This is a funnel. Bring it from the global, bring in from the wider field, and pour it all in a funnel so that what comes out becomes strategic and is context specific in what you have. What is it? Begin with the bigger picture, then gradually narrow to the specific. But it does not mean you will deal with a bigger picture for very long. It gets boring. Okay? It helps readers to follow your logic step by step, reducing what we call cognitive overload. Let's look at contrastive approach when you highlight opposing statistics, opposing findings, opposing the facts. What does it mean? It means you point out inconsistencies. There is one that's always coming out that I call zombie statistics, and we all use them in agriculture. A lot of people who are in agriculture, yeah, we agree with me. We use them. Let me give you an example. 70% of Nigerians or 80% of Nigerians are farmers. Okay, we have had that before. Or 70% of Nigerians are farmers. Or 70% of Nigerian farmers are women. Which is okay, but let me ask you a question. Who did the research? It's just a bandwagon thing. We all carried. And so we have all these things that are here, a lot of inconsistencies. Nobody actually did the research. We just grew up to take it like oral tradition. And it's a scientific field. So we must be able to have what we call contrastive approach. Point out inconsistencies, debates, or contradictions in existing studies. Create tension. It creates tension, and so that readers are able to see something that is unresolved, that your work is addressing. So that is how you create the gap in literature. Number 3, how do you create a gap? Looking at what we call niche. A niche is not reinventing the wheel. A niche is always there. It means the gap is always there. A sports area that is underexploited or marginalized or ignored in literature. You go, you identify it. It is not something you are creating. You identify it is there. It works because it shows originality, that you are not rehashing or that you are not reinventing what's already known. Okay, let's look at the example. For example, agriculture. In physical sciences, agriculture, whenever they talk about irrigation efficiency, research is abundant. Anytime you talk about irrigation efficiency, they talk about Asia, they talk about Europe, they talk about America. None is talked about when it comes to efficiency. I'm saying not inefficiency. They don't really study sub-Saharan Africa system that are efficient. In physical sciences, we have plenty of theoretical models on nanomaterials, very few experimental field tests. And so your study will now have an empirical evidence as your contribution, as filling that gap. So what are the common pitfalls in introduction, when we are writing introduction to research? Number 1 is that we start with sweeping generalization. Like since time immemorial, since in time immemorial, since the dawn of time. In fact, there was a journal paper I was reading, and I just kept laughing. How can you write a journal? You say since the creation of man. You have gone religious. You have gone biblical. Because science does not even agree that there was a time when man was created. So you come with this generation since the dawn of man. These are all floating statements. Communication is important for all societies. Of course, we agreed. Well, why do you have to bring it into your work? This fails to capture attention because it sounds cliche and detached from the actual research. Okay, please, Nessa. Our examples are many. In humanities, we say humans have always told stories. It's vague. In physical sciences, you say technology has changed our world. It has changed every world. Even at the time of throwing arrows and gathering of fruit, they had technologies. It changed any world. It's just not our world. You are adding nothing. Now, in agriculture, say farming has always been essential to humanity. Agreed. We agree, but it has no place in your research. So, better that you start closer to your specific field. Don't go too broad. Don't go from your speed. You have gone to the Bible story. You have gone to creation of the world. You have gone to. So we want you to start close so that people can get your information quickly. Number two common pitfall is that it's always in what we call literature review dump, which I have said before. When you ask people to write a research, the first thing they do, they believe that introduction, you can just cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste. And in the end, you have a dump, a refuse of all sorts. Turning the introduction to a list of who said what. Readers become drowned in references. Some people can even pile up to 15 references. So 2030, so 2050, so for what? Am I expected to read them? Look at the example, physical sciences. Smith, 2010, studied lithium ion. Jones, 2012, studied sodium ion. Brown, in an introduction. This will be good when you are discussing maybe your results. But introduction, we want to be carried along. In humanities, several critics have written about Shakespeare. Then you pack everybody. Bracket, Smith, 1999, Lee, 2001, Peter, 2005, and you keep adding and adding. It's a potpourri of rubbish. Okay? In agriculture, say many researchers studied post-harvest loss in different countries. Country, Malaysia, America, this one, and you have not even talking about your place. All these don't highlight what is missing. So it is better you summarize what you have read and give a synthesis to show a pattern, and then you highlight your own gap. You must analyze, summarize, and then synthesize and show a pattern. We want to see that pattern and where your work is coming into help. And so we look at the third one is overly technical. When you become overly technical too soon, no research should be less technical, but you don't become too technical even at the beginning. At the beginning, some people will start after the first paragraph, they start bringing a model, equation, and then they bring a table of, please, next one, diving into jargon, equations, or methods before establishing why the research matters. Okay? For example, physical sciences, starting with chemical equations before even stating the problem of energy storage. In humanities, you open your work with a dense theoretical jargon, drawing upon faculty, biopolitics, and those, what all this, you have not told us the problem before you even ground the reader. In agriculture, you can ask somebody who will lead with statistical models details before describing the farming problem that is about to address. All this is that you are beginning too early to be technical. It is better to use plain language at the start. Details can follow once the reader is invested, is fully into it. When you have no clear research question, when you have no clear research direction, like I told you, you read the whole introduction, and then somebody is telling you, go read more before you know what's going on. No, even my student, I will read. I'll say, I don't understand what you are writing. Readers get background, context, even literature, but never a clear sense of what the research is doing or is about to do. They finish the entire introduction looking more confused, having your own ideas. So I've given examples here. So what we are saying is that you should end the introduction with a specific research question, with a specific research aim that guides the reader into the paper. So we are expected that you stop your work and give a clear roadmap of what you are about to do. So please keep sentences tight. Avoid jargon. We can say it from now till tomorrow. Number 2, use what we call transitions. From context to get transitions here is you are being logical. You know, using the words like however to start a new paragraph. It means you have stated a fact up. Consequently, you are still continuing what you are saying. Moreover, you are contrasting what you have said. Those are what we call transitions. Do not just start with Peter 2005. Study so and 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 so. At the first so and so and so and so. Full stop. John 2015. What are you making? You are not making sense. We are not following you. See, he found so and so and so thing and discovered this thing. In the same vein, you see, I'm using transition. However, I'm transiting to tell you that I'm contrasting what this other man has found. Somebody else has found something else. And then the third one is that you have to build momentum. You must move logically into objective, into hypothesis or argument. We see continue with writing with clarity and flow. Okay. So this is a summary before my conclusion. This is the second to the next. Now, before we end this particular thing, I want us to look at the checklist for a good introduction. You must hook the reader early. You must contextualize your work. You must show the gap. And you must state your aim very clearly. And then you must write clearly and avoid jargon. And for every one of us, nobody is a champion of knowledge. If you write your work, please give somebody to help you look at it. Many researchers don't have that time because of deadline. Because they say if you can bring in your abstract now, if you can send it this, it's closing today. We just write and we send. And then disappointingly, your work is rejected. So seek peer review and treat feedback with seriousness. Sometimes somebody gives you feedback, you feel the person doesn't like your face. No, treat it seriously. One of my first work I wanted to publish in 2011, I sent it to a publisher in the US, and they gave me one long review. Because of that review, I didn't send that work again until 2014. I kept working with the review. And by the time I sent it, the man said, "This is good. Now, finally, use discipline-specific template." Discipline-specific. I can send one work to Nigeria Journal of Agric. If I'm sending it to Nigeria Journal of Economics, my template will be different. So it's expected that you use that. And finally, what are the takeaways? Please, let's know that a strong introduction is attention plus clarity plus relevance. Attention plus clarity plus relevance. Remember, if you lose your reader in the introduction, you may never win them back. And finally, yes, ma'am. Review all introduction draft with the 3 C's. Remember the 3 C's: context, challenge, and contribution. Context, challenge, and contribution. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you.
Yes, my question is this. Background of the study is part of introduction. And there is this thing that some scholars said, for the first paragraph, you don't need to cite any author. It's your own view. They want to know your own view.
My question is, you said something about summarize and synthesize to show a pattern, then highlight the gap. Can you give us an example under agriculture?
So my question is that, is there any specific page that an introduction, an impactful introduction should contain, or there's no any specific pages that it will take? And the second question is that, is there is it necessary to cite it statistic in a situation whereby your title that you are dealing with it does not maybe need or contain statistic?
Now, if you joined us earlier, okay, it's just it's a matter of presentation. That is a manner of presentation. Whenever I'm given the opportunity to make a presentation to the public, especially on PowerPoint, I usually start even before the activity. I usually start with a relevant quotation. Okay, it could be 1 or 2. I call it words on marble. I don't know, maybe that is what she's saying, but it's just a manner of speaking. A manner of speaking. Okay, if that is what she's saying. Then for the friend from Uganda, you ask if your research is in new field completely. We talked about pointing out a niche, okay, which is not completely new, but a gap on the field. What if it's a new research? Well, I want to say that every field started with a new research. At least there's one new research, and the field itself is a niche already. That you are starting out on a new platform itself is a niche that you have identified. In all research should work towards bettering the life of man. Okay, so we are looking at the human development as one, and you have discovered a niche, which is a new field, and you are working on. So we are not looking, there is no new field actually. We just discovered new things and then we fit into it. So it's also a niche when you find that your research is a new ground that you are breaking. And then that's for me, I expect people to contribute. Okay. And then the question that which I said we should summarize, synthesize, and then point out the gap. I should give an example in agriculture. I think I did. I gave an example. I said, if you remember where I told you that all the research, imagine I've summarized, I've given summary because I can't give everything, but I've given summaries. I've given you this person did this, and this was this, and then so people have worked over the years, and you notice that the trend is that everyone has been looking at the farmer, his practice, his management style, but none has actually looked at training. None has looked at this. That is a gap that I've pointed out. I did it. I gave it out as an example. And then finally, by Sani Ahmad, whether there is page extent, we said your work should follow specific style. If you are writing a research for the university, your university, the postgraduate school, for example, have what they call the manual of style, how the project must be. So they give you, your departments also can customize their own style. If it is agric, if it's a journal, they will tell you that no paper should be more than 12 pages. I don't know if out of 12 pages you decide to use 6 pages for introduction, whether they are going to take it. But they don't tell you introduction should be 3 pages, this one should be 2 pages. So there are styles, and you should have to follow those styles. Are statistics always necessary? No, they are not always necessary. But most people, when you bring out statistics that are surprising facts, not all statistics, but surprising facts, statistics, they tend to capture everybody. If I tell you now, for example, that in Nigeria, I'm writing about mortality, and I said, are you aware that in Nigeria, 50,000 people die daily? You'll be shocked. And by the time I present the fact to you, I have been able to get your attention. Once you are shocked, I've got your attention. So statistics are good, but they are not compulsory that you use. Thank you.
Just want his reaction to one or two. Prof, okay, yes. Prof, I want you to react to that first one. The presenter, the speaker today is thinking about the way he started using quotation, and that is in presentation. Now here we are talking about the research write-up. Can you attend to that question? What do you think is obtainable? That is, my first sentence is not coming from my head. It's not, I mean, maybe it's even relevant to the title, but it's about somebody says, not because I'm writing background to the study under introduction. What is your take? Short.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
The direction a writer takes will be determined by the issue he has identified to be addressed. we can identify issue around us. Maybe I look at my environment and I observe certain happenings and I pick an issue from it. Or it could be from the literature. So, and we also have a style of writing. If somebody pick from literature, maybe has seen an issue, maybe raised by the author, and he wants to quote, he can, once he quotes, then that means that is the foundation of his or her argument. Of his or her argument. It means he or she has seen something that he now brought up as quotation, and then from there, he now begins to dissect, analyze, and as the presenter say, now helping readers to see a dimension he or she is trying to address about that quotation. So if somebody wants to do it that way, it's okay. But I believe that is an advanced person in research that may be able to do things like that, because it means you are bringing up analytical reasoning that somebody will need to follow. So that's the.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
About that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prof, for shedding light on that. I know there are other, departments or different fields that will say, no. You're writing background to the study. Why not let us see where you are coming from, rather than so we can also tend to use different style as being promoted by where we are writing or what we are writing for. Thank you very much.